Perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Middleton. I'm with the Prince George's County Executive's Office. It's a pleasure to see you again. This is our second meeting with the Recreation Blue Ribbon Work Group for Prince George's County. We are here to receive our first presentation from our consultant, Barry Dunn, about some of the activities and operations of Maryland National Capital Park and Planning and their recreation activities here in Prince George's County. Before we do hear about that, though, what I'd like to do is just remind everyone that we have just launched a website that is interactive with the public, and that will serve as the home base for all things having to do with this work group, including activities, agendas, minutes, who the members are, what the purpose of this work group is. And so please feel free to visit that. The website name is too long to list here, but I will say if you would like to access it, it is accessible on the Prince George's County Government's website under the County Executive's profile and under initiatives. So it's 3 steps to find it. It'll also be distributed widely throughout all the county executives' social media and communications networks. And again, if there are any other questions, comments, or concerns having to do with the work group, feel free to send an email at recreationworkgroup@co.pg.md.us. Before now that we can get started with, we're done with all the housekeeping issues, I'll throw it over to Lisa Paradis to get started with her presentation. Thank you. Lisa. Lisa frozen? Pardon us for the technical difficulties. Lisa, are you there?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. I bet you were looking.
We lost you for a second there.
I know. It just went out.
All right. Well, we are ready when you are for your presentation. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending this first bi-weekly update meeting for this really important project. We have a couple of our key consultants from Barry Dunn on the call today, and we'll be all giving you an overview of some of the work that we've started to dig into for this project. My name is Lisa Paradis. I'm the project manager, and I'd like to just start with having Barbara Heller introduce herself, and then we can take it from there. Oh, you're on mute.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Barbara Heller, part of the team engagement manager, working with Lisa and Danny and JR. Nice to see everybody.
Great. Danny?
I'm slow to come off of mute. Hello, everyone. I'm Danielle, or Danny Wilson, and I am part of the Barry Dunn team. Happy to help you with the recreation assessment, and I'll pass the mic to JR.
I'm JR Clanton, also part of the Barry Dunn team, and I'm helping out with the financial analysis on this project.
Great, thank you. I'm going to share my screen now. So we have a brief PowerPoint with some high-level overview of the work that we've been doing thus far. Okay. Today's agenda, we're going to review these 8 things, starting with the project timeline, look at some customer feedback, get an understanding of the entire package of data review. Danny will talk a little bit about the recreation assessment and the work she's done with that. Barbara will speak a little bit about customer satisfaction and some of the information that we've gathered for that. We'll be looking at some of the information we've gathered from the bifurcation research, and then JR will finish it up with the financial performance and some high-level overview of that. Then we'll actually be giving you a little preview of the next part of this process. So this is where we are. We've gone past the initial planning for this project, and this is the meat of the bone right here, is the data gathering and analysis. This is the longest piece of this project because there is so much information and so much data to gather, and then obviously to analyze. But we are right in the thick of it right now, and we hope to have all of that stuff finished up in January, but you will be seeing lots more information as the months progress. And then we will, of course, head into the drafts, study, review, final report, and then into the approval process. A little bit about our customer feedback, but this is really all about the website that Ryan referred to. I actually have a link to it up here. I'll provide this link in the chat at the end of this session as well, so that people have a direct link if you'd like to check it out. But this particular, and I can actually bring that up if we have time at the end, Ryan. I can bring up the website so that people can see it, but it's probably easiest for people to just visit it individually. But we have established a website called using the Social Pinpoint platform. And inside that website is contained information about the project, some timeline information. Also, you can access agendas and minutes. And you can also obviously get links to public meeting and all kinds of FAQs. Will give you some up-to-date information as we progress through this project. But the biggest and most important thing is that we have the opportunity for community feedback in a virtual platform like this. So there are 3 forum questions that we've crafted and are asking the public to weigh in on. And there is a survey that is able to be accessed. And so we will leave that website open for a number of months and then collect that feedback, obviously, and analyze that as part of our information. There will also be additional feedback opportunities in listening sessions. We've conducted one. There are 2 more to go, and those have yet to be scheduled, but we will be doing that fairly soon. So our data review at this point it has been in these specific topics: the organizational structure, of course, looking at the staffing and how that all plays out. Naturally, the financials are a big piece of this. As I mentioned, JR is doing a lot of that. The program inventory and understanding exactly service delivery and what that means to the organization currently. Understanding a little bit about the program metrics, such as the customer satisfaction rate. That is not the only thing, of course. There are multiple other kinds of metrics. And then taking a deeper dive into the policies as we progress. I wanted to just throw up here, because I'm assuming most people haven't seen just how vast this organization is. And I know it's hard to read, but within each one of these boxes, this is a current organizational chart for the department. And within each one of these boxes is, of course, a much deeper and broader specific organizational chart for that particular division. But I wanted to just kind of give an idea of where the organization is. And you can see in the left-hand key, there's some fluctuation in some of the positions that are actually involved in this organizational chart right now. This is a little bit easier to see, and this is a very high-level overview of what the department looks like. Okay. And then lastly, I wanted to kind of pull this out as an example of what one of those boxes in that organizational chart looks like. And this is the Aquatics Athletics Facilities Division. And so it's quite robust, to say the least. There's a lot going on in this particular division, as is in other divisions.
Do we ask questions as we go along, or do we wait? And the second thing is, will we have, those of us on this committee, have access to these organizational charts And then I wanted to kind of roll back to I'm curious about the 3 questions that are on the survey.
Ryan, would you prefer to take questions now or at the end?
Oh, I'll leave the question up to you.
That's fine. What, we can certainly provide access to the organizational charts for the panel. That's absolutely easy to do for us. The department has been kind enough to give us all of those, so we can give that to the panel.
Well,
And then,
here's the thing, we are called to, this is a very important matter for the citizens here in Prince George's County. And because we've been asked to serve on this panel, it is absolutely critical that we have a packet of all the information that you're discussing here today.
Senator, all of that will be provided, and additionally, all of this information will also be posted onto the website, which
Yeah,
will
we
be,
need to have something in
it'll
our
be
hand.
it'll also be accessible to the public as well.
That's extremely important.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
this something we could get prior to the meeting, just so we can take a quick look at it before the meeting starts?
Mhm.
Sure.
sure, absolutely. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
I think that'd be helpful.
yeah, it would be.
And Ms. Benson, you had another question regarding the 3.
You all had 3
questions.
questions that you wanted in your survey.
Mhm.
That was some while back. And I would be curious as to what those questions are that you're asking the community to respond to.
Okay, if I could just put a bookmark in that, and then I'll come back to that at the end so we can pull up the site. That will be a little bit easier, I think, than having to come out
That's
of the
fine.
slide and then
No
go back.
problem.
That's
No
okay.
problem.
Great,
No
thank
problem.
you. Did I miss the question, or did I get what I needed to get?
That's fine.
Okay, great, thanks. So our point really here is that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of layers and dimension to this organization, of course. And this is just a further breakdown, just so that you can see the 15 areas. And what that looks like on the left-hand side are really the areas that are under the if you will, the recreation services divisions. And then on the right-hand side is all the other. And so we're really primarily looking at this left-hand side division as it pertains to this study on bifurcation. With that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Danny Wilson to talk a little bit about some of the high-level stuff that we've been researching with the programs and services.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. So when we talk about assessing the recreation programs and services, what that means is we want to try to take a deep dive into what types of recreation activities are being offered, to whom are they being offered, when, where. So we take the current program menu and the previous year's program menu, and we start to do things like this that you see on the screen, where we observe over the course of the extent of the whole program menu, what types of programs are being offered. So the categories that are currently being used are sports, fitness and health, aquatics, etc. And as we look at those different categories between 2 fiscal years, we look at the number of programs, the quantity. Then we can start to look at the difference in quantity, what's trending up, what's trending down. So we start looking at this data to get a better understanding of what is being offered. And another way to look at that is how they're distributed in relation to each other. And so we can do that in a pie chart format where we look at, you want to advance that slide for me, Lisa, please? We start to look at these same categories thank you so much, as a whole. So if we look at a single year's programs that were offered, and I will also provide a detail here of this is a single year, and it is just a snapshot in time of the registration-based programs only. This by no means describes every single service being offered. This is being provided as an example of the types of things we are doing to do that comprehensive recreation programs and services assessment. So you'll see sports, fitness and health, aquatics, and virtual programs are really the top 4 areas that a lot of programs are being offered in quantity. We'll look later at the enrollment into these types of programs. Then what we start to do is look at, well, who are these programs being offered to? And so you'll see on the next slide that we call that age segmentation, where there's quantity of programs being offered for adults, children, seniors, for example. And when we do this visually, sometimes it helps us see, especially in that pie chart on the right, the quantity of programs that are specifically being offered for the teen population. In this case, is the lowest quantity. Now, one note is that there is a large quantity, that blue piece of the pie chart is for mixed ages. And so yes, in all likelihood, teens can attend those programs as well, but this might be something that we would look at as like, let's dig a little bit deeper in that. And finally, another thing we'll start to look at is performance measures. Cancellation rates is one of those things, and we can look at from one fiscal year to the next. The quantity of programs in the orange is about the same. When we look at the cancellation rate in fiscal year 22 was a little higher than fiscal year 21. We start to look then at, why was that? And sometimes it just means that an agency is offering more opportunities that haven't taken hold yet. And in others, it means it's offering more time slots, that we hone in on the time slots that work for participants, and then we go ahead and cancel the other slots that had been made available. So it doesn't mean that it's poor performance, it's just something that we will track over time, again, to see trends. So that is a snapshot of the types of things we are doing with the recreation assessment component. And alongside that will be our customer satisfaction assessment. I think I'm passing the mic to Barbara.
Yeah, I can handle it. I can handle these. Yeah. So there's a survey research company called ETC Institute, and they do a lot of park and recreation department satisfaction type of surveys, and a statistically valid survey. We got this one slide from Prince George's that simply asks the question of rating your satisfaction with the overall value your household receives. And 65% are either somewhat satisfied or very satisfied, and only about 11% are somewhat dissatisfied or somewhat dissatisfied. And when you see those numbers, it doesn't really strike you as, wow, that's superlative performance. So what's helpful is to put this into context with ETC Institute has a database approaching 1,000 different agencies around the country. And they have a database of answers from other agencies from around the country. So I got in touch with ETC Institute and asked them to send me the benchmark information of just comparing where MMC PPC is versus the national average. And you can see in terms of very satisfied, the national average and MMC PPC very close together. And the same is true for the very satisfied and somewhat satisfied. And I'll turn it back over to Lisa.
Great, thank you, Barbara. And just so you know, we do have one of our other consultants working on this piece of the case study piece to try to come up with some really good examples of how this has worked in different organizations. What we found is that this is an incredibly unique situation. I know that that's probably not a surprise to most people, but most of the examples that we've found, and we've done a fairly broad and wide search on this, is that they overlap for a county in a single city or in a special district. So what we may have to do is take some benchmark communities that may not be directly applicable. And then what we also wanted to do was throw out there to the panel, and this can be for another time, or if you have thoughts that you can send toward Ryan. If you know of any other benchmark example that we we should look into that we haven't found. Maybe you're aware of something that we haven't found yet that directly correlates with this specific situation. Lastly, we just wanted to pull out our initial findings, really, and those are the challenges and key considerations for this in this study and the outcomes of the study. And truly, the staffing, benefits, and pension systems are going to be something that are really going to be difficult or challenging, I should say, to tease out and to understand how the cost benefit for that. Understanding, of course, residents and users see as those cost benefits to changing service versus what's currently delivered. And then the issue of transferring capital assets may be quite challenging. There's a lot of, and what we call that capital assets is equipment, all kinds of assets like buildings and facilities in general. And then, of course, the transition time and impact to service delivery may be challenging, but we're doing some analysis on that as well as we dig deeper into both the staffing as well as the programs and services and how those would then be potentially offered into the community. And then really what's very, very important in this process is that transparency and communication for both the residents as the external communication of what's going on throughout this process, as well as the existing staff in MNC PPC is really going to be essential to providing a roadmap to the future, whichever way it goes. And lastly, I'm going to turn this over to JR and to wrap this up with a little bit of financial talk.
Thank you, Lisa. So currently we have a lot of information related to the utilization rates of programs and financial performance of the department. And within this information, we're going to be able to really get into what is the cost of service and what is the cost of service for each of the areas. Currently, we're taking a lot of information, breakouts of annual participation by activity, leagues, passes, rentals, and ticketed events, as well as the line item detail of fiscal year 21 and 22 expenditures and revenues. And we're putting them into a true cost of service model that we develop in order to understand performance from a net revenue perspective. We also have copies of usage agreements and MOUs to make sure that we're accounting for and considering any or all current obligations. So as we feed everything into that model, we'll get a much better understanding of how much it costs to operate all the different operations within the department.
Thanks, JR. And then lastly, just what's next? We are still in this phase of what we'd like to call listening, asking more questions and analyzing the answers and the information that we gain from those first two things. And then, more detailed reports will come. We know that this is very high level for you today, but it gives you a taste of really what we're digging into right now. We will be continuing with meeting with key individuals. And then we are going to be scheduling that listening session number 2, and we'll release that date when we make that happen. So at this point, we have plenty of time to answer questions or for people to provide comments.
I had a question. So are you taking a look at the customer service area when you're doing your analysis of this overall change that may or may not happen?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, that's a really, really significant component. So we just got a little snippet of information so far, but yeah, we're going to see what else we can get, because that's of critical importance for a study like this.
Okay, great. Also, did the project plan, was that sent out to us, and I missed it, or has it not been sent out yet?
No, the project plan was sent out. Yeah.
Okay. And as far as the key individuals, will you kind of give us an idea of who the individuals are or the departments they're in or their title of who you're speaking with, as you go along, or how will we know who you're discussing things with?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Generally, I would do that through Ryan and just let him know who we need follow our conversations and then ultimately maybe follow-up conversations with. But
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, just like the department or, what
Yeah.
area you're working on would be helpful.
sure.
I have a question. When we receive information, are we just receiving it from Ryan? Or is it from a representative besides Ryan?
9 times out of 10, it'll be me.
Okay. I'm not sure about the project plan. I probably got it, but I need to look again because I'm not sure that I got that.
And I'm just assuming we'll get updated project plans as it changes, if it does change. Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you. When you do the cost analysis, what exactly are you going to be looking at? Because there's a lot that goes into total cost and et cetera.
Yeah, I'm looking at every detail of information that I can get in order to calculate true cost of service. And so to the extent that we have breakouts for it, that also includes indirect costs as well as direct costs.
Okay.
How is what is being proposed different from, maybe my wonderful friend Bill can answer this question. Bill, how is what's being proposed different from what is in place at the facility on Sheriff Road? How's it different?
Are you referring to the sports and learning complex?
Yes, I am.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be looking, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa or Barry Dunn staff, you'll be looking at that thoroughly, I'm sure, if you haven't already, as part of all that we're looking at, the programs and staffing and cost and things like that.
Yeah, that's part of
The
what
question
we're
is,
looking at.
how is it different? What's being proposed now? Is it being placed on 301 because of the Sports and Learning Center and its locality is centrally located? Are you all trying to provide a facility similar to what's on Sheriff Road to accommodate the people in Upper Marlboro and Southern Maryland? I mean, what is the difference between what is being proposed and what you have in place at the Sports and Learning Center? Is there a real vast difference? I see the Olympic swimming pool and what is being suggested of what's being proposed, what's in this proposal is very similar to what we have at the Sports and Learning Center. I'm just trying to figure out how it's different.
I don't believe we're talking about one specific new type facility similar to the Sports and Learning Complex. I believe this is looking at the whole vast inventory of the entire county recreation facilities, programming costs and things like that, I would assume that the Sports and Learning Complex will be a big part of the study, but it'll just be part of the entire, what we're looking at in our entire department. Every facility, every program costs, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan or Lisa.
That's correct.
It's
correct.
It's very, when I think about it, because I was very much involved with the Sports and Learning Center and Jack Kent Cooke and my great friend Wayne Curry and all of us. During that time, it was very expensive, but we're very thankful that Jack Kent Cooke helped us tremendously with that facility. I'm just figuring out when we think about what is being proposed here, the bottom line or the budget and the cost is going to be really really high. Not that I'm just trying to figure out, I'm not arguing the fact that this facility may be needed because the Sports and Learning Center, as you know, is busy 24/7 almost. So I'm not arguing about that. What I'm trying to figure out is why is it that we are, why are we having this project here? It's because people are interested in something that we're not aware of?
I mean, I don't know if that was directed to me, but I believe, like I said in an earlier slide, they mentioned about, whether it's our capital assets, our programs, the costs, the staffing, retirements, pensions. I think that's all going to be included as part of this group in this study to determine is this current model that we have and we've had for years, is that something, what would it look like? What would it cost? What would it entail? How would it impact staff and most importantly, the citizens of the county by, having a different model to serve our citizens? So that's the way I'm understanding this. I hope that makes sense, Senator.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay.
Brian, I think that's the end of our presentation, but we're certainly open to other comments or suggestions.
I just have another question.
Sure.
For the financial piece, are you all going to break out direct versus the indirect costs? So if there's any allocations that are going across departments or areas, we can see what the actuals are versus what the allocations are?
Yes, we will, to the extent that those breakouts are available. And we'll be working with staff to get clarification and make them as accurate as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. In the power slide that you showed, you talked about looking at the park fund organizations portions of our agency, park and planning, I'm sorry. Like the M&D and the parks divisions and the other ones, you're actually looking at that as being part of the study as the possibility of either moving those to a quasi-government or the county under county services, is the whole organization, or is that going to be just how it integrates with the providing support services for recreation services? Yeah,
Actually, you said it correctly at the last part. Obviously, we have to look at everything from holistically, and that those support services really have to be defined both from a financial standpoint as well as a functional and support standpoint in either scenario.
And you're not really looking at that piece, because my understanding from the legislation, it was mostly just the recreation and sports services and some art services, but not necessarily the maintenance and park service as far as looking at a transfer. Okay.
No. But there's obviously a lot of dovetailing of services, and that we would have to obviously tease out both with JR financially and Danny and organizationally. So there's the financial component, there's the actual service delivery component, and how that works together, as well as the staffing and organizational component of things.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have time to possibly have you bring up the project plan just so we can see what stage we're at? I think you're still in the discovery stage, but I'm not positive. And I don't want to jump ahead if we haven't gotten to that yet, or you all haven't had opportunity to look into certain things that I have questions about.
Sure. Let me find that for you. Yeah, I think I have it here. Let me try to share my screen again. What specifically, it's the number of pages, it's about 20 pages, 14 pages. What specifically did you want to have a look at? Oh, you're on mute.
Miss Aaron, you're on mute.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
I didn't know I was muted. My apologies. No, I was just thinking it was going to be more in a chart form so we could kind of see the different weeks. And in that way, we would not be asking you questions that you're not going to really have addressed until week 6 and week 2 or whatever, just so we have a little more, have a better idea of what the timeline looks like.
Yep.
So that, like, you know, at the next meeting, we know what action items you all have addressed, and then we can ask our questions about them at that point.
Yep. And this is the overall timeline.
Okay.
But I can, if you'd like something that's more specific, I can work with Ryan to make sure that you all have something.
Or even before each meeting, if you just let us know like which phase you're at, you know, give us the ID number, letter number, and then what action you've taken for that step.
Great.
So we know what, you know, what you've worked on, and then we can know what questions we have related to that specifically, you know, before we get into a meeting and we're asking you all kinds of questions that you all haven't gotten to yet.
Got it. Thank you. What I will say, as sort of a caveat, you can see that a lot of these phases or deliverables are happening all at the same time. So there would be specific phases within that may be a little bit fuzzy to actually articulate where we are in the process. But I think that we can do a decent job of giving you some more detail on each phase of each deliverable.
Yeah, and just letting us know this is still a work in process. You've started it, you haven't completed it, you're still working on it, like some type of.
Will do.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, Ryan. I must say again, I don't think I received this plan. I've been looking through my emails and I just cannot find it, so I'm not sure. But my other question is, when I go to meetings and I talk about this work group, most people have not heard of it. And I'm wondering, like when we do the community sessions where you invite people to speak, how are they being invited? How are they even being made aware that this is going on?
We are, so this is one of the reasons why at the very beginning of this meeting, I plugged our new website for people to be able to visit. It's interactive. It includes forms and surveys, and it will contain agendas and minutes for everyone to follow along, recordings of this meeting and our prior meetings. It's available and accessible from the county's website. Our prior meeting, this meeting, and all meetings going forward are going to be distributed via the county executives and the county government social media and communications channels. We also encourage delegates like yourself, other elected officials, and community leaders to spread the word about all of these meetings and agendas and minutes that we have here. So we're also relying on you as well as a community leader to let people know and spread the word. We have an open email. Again, it's Recreation Work Group at co.pg.md.us. Please feel free to send an email if there's any additional information that you would like to receive about this work group. We're happy to, we check it every day. We're happy to send any information that anyone would like to receive. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the word is spread as far and wide as possible about this work group.
Is it possible to put this website link on Park and Planning's webpage? I think there might be a lot of people that that view that webpage that don't normally think about going to the county webpage. And to be honest with you, I've had difficulty finding it on the county's website because it just have to really traverse the website. It's a difficult site. And just be another option for people who use these services and facilities. I think we could reach out to more people by just attaching it at least to the Park and Planning's website.
Sure. Well, I don't have control over Park and Planning's website, but we can certainly make the ask. Any other questions?
Just a quick question for social media. Is there a link on our website where we can easily share upcoming meeting dates with, you know, using Instagram or whatever anyone uses?
I don't understand.
So people know that the meeting's coming up and they can actually watch the live stream.
Yes, there's links on, if you go on the website, there's agendas and minutes there. If you scroll down, there's a previous meeting, there's a link to this meeting on YouTube, and all future meetings will be there as well.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. We appreciate it. For everyone who's joined us live on YouTube or who may view this as a recording, thank you for watching and being engaged. We hope to see you at our future meetings and future listening sessions. I want to thank all of our members here of the work group for their tireless dedication to helping improve everything that we have here in Prince George's County. And I'd like to thank our friends at Barry Dunn for the tireless work that they've done so far here and the work that they will do moving forward. As I said, please feel free to visit our website. Please feel free to send us an email and we will check it every day. We will endeavor to make sure that you know everything that's going on with this work group. And yeah, please stay engaged with us. Thanks and have a great one.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone.
Thank you.